Hey, all right. So you filed a claim with the Social Security Administration for disability, um, whether it's SSI, SSD, or both. So what do you do now? Well, let's remember you filed your application, and if you filed everything the way you're supposed to, you would have done a report in some way, shape, or form that included all of your medical providers that would be relevant potentially to a current finding of disabled, right? So that would clearly be all of your current providers, any new ones you have upcoming appointments to, and any in the not so distant past, as well as possibly some from a long time ago, if that's the kind of impairment that you wouldn't currently be treated for, but you're not cured of. I don't want to get too in the weeds on that. But in any event, you presumably gave them all of the helpful full, complete contact information in the format they requested, which when you were online, you would have seen that. If you did the SSA 33-68 form, that would be the paper form version. Likewise, if you filled it out properly without, skimping on things, they'll have everything that they need to help you get your medical records. Now, so what does that mean? I see all too often people who filed and they just sat back and they didn't do anything. And I know that that can work sometimes for the minority of people that win on initial, because their records were just very available. And the SSA has some relationships with some big medical health networks, such that with your authorization, which you submitted with your application, that's the SSA 827, once they have that, they can do some sort of automated function they have with these big providers. I know some of the big providers around me, that would be Lehigh Valley, St. Luke's, things like that, Geisinger, and even some that are kind of up and coming, like Mountain Valley Orthopedics, things like that. And I'm not sure about Mountain Valley, but some of the other ones, they have something they do call, it looks like the word HITMER, HITMER, and it's their automated way of being able to get in and get your records. Super fast, it's super convenient. None of this mailing a request to the provider and hoping it gets there with the mail service and then hoping they respond. I mean, train wreck. So for those big health networks, those records come in pretty fast. And it is true, depending on the adjudicator, I think, that if your case is taking more than few months once it gets to medical workup, they tend to do another HITMER and get more updated ones a few months later before they render the final decision. So that's good. But so many providers do not have that kind of relationship with the SSA. So, and that would be ones that do have portals for you, like your own portal for accessing your records, or some of them, or just how to make an appointment. Some of them are very, very sketchy and minimal, not very helpful. But for those guys, then the actual paper request goes out. I don't know if the SSA ever faxes them. I know when we do them, we fax them. It's fast, they got it. It's just expeditious compared to mailing, and cost effective and green and all these other things. But if you are not staying on top of your case, and this is not to say you should be calling your adjudicator all the time either, because they're going to probably get upset with me if I say that. But you do kind of want to know if certain medical records haven't come in. If you have a new provider at a different office, I would be contacting the adjudicator to let him or her know. And you want that full contact information, kind of like you gave it in the beginning. We have a different system here. Like when you have a representative, I'm sure your representative has their own, process. We have a form that a document. It's called a reusable medical update form that my clients can update me when they get a new provider. It could also be if you have a new treatment of import that you might want to make sure the adjudicator knows about, because if he or she does not, and they're close to rendering a decision, they might not order that at all, and that won't be in your file for that decision. And maybe it would have changed their mind. Another thing that I think is really important is medications changes. Medications are really important. People skimp on this. I see them skimp on it in the function report. I see them skimp on it in their application materials. So I presume they skimp on it when they're not being asked about it too. If you get on a new medication, if it's because of a new problem or the fact that the old medication was not working for the problem, that can be significant. It's not always going to be of major import, but it can be. It can be particularly, for very serious conditions where the medications are not working and they have to keep trying new ones. It can be really huge because it's showing that you're still trying and you're not stable yet. So, or to a certain degree anyway. So I think if you have new medications, let's say it's a mental health thing and they add one on because your symptoms are not well controlled, sometimes their narrative will say that everything is within normal limits and well controlled and she's doing okay. But then they go and they change your medications. They up it, or they add one, or they take one out and add a different one. That can be relevant to show that no, indeed, they were misspeaking or miswriting when they said that you were within normal limits, everything's going good. She said she's okay. Well, then why are you changing her medications? It would make no sense, right? So it kind of shows that they're just maybe cutting and pasting some comments about you to get through creating medical records. But in reality, things are not as they seem. So that can be really important. So I would make sure that you communicate that to your adjudicator, which, by the way, I know everyone gets confused about where the case is when it's actually getting medical workup. It's not your field office. Okay. So that office that is maybe in your town or close by, it's not. There's a different office. It's by the state. It's like a state agency office, and every state can have a different name. Like some of them, it's with their health department. Some I think are even in the education department. It's someplace, but the federal government outsources this kind of workup to those state, more within the state confines, because those individuals will be more familiar, I think, with the doctors in the state and the medical providers in the hospitals and all that. So it kind of keeps things a little bit handled by people who will be more aware of who those providers are and be able to maybe have a better access to getting records from them. So when you first filed, that was with the field office. It later got sent up to the state, and the letterhead is different. So you can actually tell the difference, because one's going to say usually it's a different town. Although I know that like I'm in Pennsylvania. Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania has both a field office, I believe, and the DDS is there, the medical workup place. And they also have an OHO there too. But in a lot of cases, that's not the case. But you can see the difference in the letterhead and know when your case has been moved up to the medical workup. And that's the person that you're going to want to contact with any new medical information. I know some people want to just, if they get, a one visit report from their doctor when they walk out, sometimes they walk it over to their Social Security field office. Very rarely is that actually going to make it up, in my opinion, to the state agency. So instead, find, if they have not sent you a barcode for sending in evidence, call them and ask for one. And they're going to give you then a page with a barcode that you put on top of your medical evidence, and you fax it to them. If you have a representative who does a lot of this kind of work, they're going to have electronic access to be able to upload things to your file. But I don't think will have that. And I'm not sure if now or if in the future, they're going to have it where you can upload it to your SSA, your own Social Security file portal that you do have access to, which is completely separate from what we're talking about here. I think that might be the way it's going, but who knows? Anyway, those are like just two of the things that you have to keep them informed about, or else they're not going to be there on that round. And who knows, your next round might be for an ALJ hearing. And again, while the SSA staffers at the DDS and yes, they're going to try to help get your medical records, but that doesn't mean it's going to work. So you kind of want to know which doctors aren't sending those records. A lot of times the adjudicator is going to call you after they've tried once, maybe twice, certainly once. Sometimes after twice, they don't even bother. But to let you know, hey, we didn't get it from Dr. Jones, Dr. Smith, blah, blah, blah. Can you give them a call? And that's what you would be doing. I'm not sure that they always reach out like that, though. It can be a little inconsistent. So sometimes if you, maybe every month or two, give a call, and see if there's anything missing that you can help with, like get, if there's any doctor's records missing, because you're not going to be able to see, I don't think, what is in and what is missing from your file. We can see it for our clients, but I don't think you guys can see it. So you kind of want to stay on top of it. Definitely new treatment, new doctors, with all the information, the same information you would have given when you applied, that kind of page of information. Medication's very big. Physical therapy. If you go for physical therapy, absolutely you want to let them know about that. I love physical therapy. I think it's a plethora, a treasure trove of information. So it's really great. And the same, of course, is true with diagnostic tests. If you have an MRI, updated X-rays, I'd say updated anything, but certainly if there's MRIs or CAT scans, if you had a procedure, pain injections, cortisone, if you have migraines and you get Botox injections or any other kind of injections, you're going to want to, I believe, make sure those are known. They don't happen every other day. So you're going to want to make them known every time they do, I think. And anyway, that's what I would be doing. So you kind of have to be your own advocate somewhat if you're going to be pro se, because you don't want a tired adjudicator who's overworked to overlook something. And that can happen if you're not super careful, all right, and staying on top of it. If you don't think you can do that, then you probably want to get a representative who can do that for you. And it will kind of keep you on the ball and keep gathering information from you and, handling all that extra communication for you. By the way, another reason I would never walk into the SSA if I was a claimant to deliver anything is, that's a point of contact and they take notes on the contacts. So if you do not appear to be wildly unable, it's probably going to be in that note that, you looked fine, you could talk fine, you could walk fine, all that kind of stuff. If you, well, aside from the fact that the medical records probably won't get up top, but I routinely don't want my clients even talking to them unless I say it's absolutely necessary. I want it all to go through me. That's why they hired me. So, they shouldn't have to be doing that stuff. But also another thing, if you are really able to be on top of your case, this is a little plug for representatives here, but it is a little dynamic. You got to think about it if you're pro se. You being able to do all the things I'm talking about right now might show that you have a little more capacity to do things than you're claiming, like maybe your lack of concentration and your ability to stay on task is not quite so bad in their perception as you're claiming. Now, you and I both know you might be sending a report or information every 6 weeks. A 10-minute job every 6 weeks certainly isn't going to be indicative of ability to do that 8-hour day. Totally agree with you on that one. But you'd just be surprised what the implication can be to the eyes of another whose job it is to really be picky, and make sure no one's slipping through. Okay, so that is just a little point I wanted to add on there. Otherwise, send in your stuff, have someone else help you. No one has to know it's you faxing it in, but don't walk into that office. All right. A, your materials might not get up to the state agency, and B, they're taking notes on you. Okay. Chat with you later. Bye.